go back a little bit to your origin story. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I want to, because you are one of the most interesting people that I've had the opportunity to meet. You're doing incredible things. Like your drive is just way beyond what most people have. So go back, take me back to the very beginning.
Sure.
Right? Like, so it's 2003-ish when you're about to get your license.
Right. Yeah. So that was actually with my grandmother, Mary Alice Waymeyer.
Okay.
She had her own brokerage.
Oh, okay.
I was in corporate America. I was working for Panasonic and ironically, it's funny, Brian, Preston, Brian. Yeah. So he's my business partner. Uh-huh. He just got his license, and at that point, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna buy some investment property. Yeah. So like, I literally walk into work and like be printing off properties, and Brian would come pick me up from my corporate office, and we'd leave for the day.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
They caught on and didn't like it too much, so essentially they asked me to leave.
Okay.
So I left Panasonic, and that's when I got my license. And Brian and I went over to my grandma in 2003, and then we started buying houses. Not too far after that.
All right.
That was the time, like, was it like 05 when you could do stated income, stated asset?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. Before the big crash.
Yeah, we thought we had it figured out. So I remember we had a good credit score, and Bank of America was doing stated income, stated asset.
Okay.
So we found out that like certain demographics in the city, like we can go and buy a house. Let's say, back in the day, you could get one for $80,000.
Yeah, right.
Pay cash. We had some buddies with money, so we'd go pay cash for it, and then go. We knew with Bank of America what they were going to put as their estimation of value by the zip code. So we go buy it at 80. And then go to the bank and be like, hey, we want to get a loan on this. And they'd be like, oh, we'll give you 130. So we're literally making like 25,000 a pop. Yes.
What?
Per property. So we started buying property.
You can stack fast with that.
Way fast. Yeah. So we were buying like, dude, this is how you buy property. Literally buy property, make 25 grand. Make 20, like we're the smartest guys ever. We throw renter in there, but those loans were interest only loans. So you're over leveraged.
Yeah.
They're in the hood. We fell hard when the market crashed.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Dude, what did that feel like though? Yeah. So you're riding high, like you think you've got
it. We bought a Mercedes. Smart. Yeah, we're like, we bought a house with a pool. Yeah, we're balling. Yeah.
Doing all the things.
Dumb. Like we can tell you how not to do things because we did it. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So do
you remember the moment that you realized I'm fucked?
Yeah, the moment I knew we were fucked was when they cut off our lines because you'd had an open line of credit, right? Yeah, so we wouldn't take it all up front, which we probably should have because they cut them all off.
Okay.
But like when the market started to crash and the renters got bad, and then like houses started to get broken into and copper were getting stolen, I'm like, this is not good. Yeah. And then, there was no money to make payments. And then we had homes that were probably really worth what we bought them for, but we owed way more than that.
Because you're taking the 120 and
you got it. Yeah. One bought cars and toys and shit. Right.
Right.
So,
were you married? Did you have kids?
I was not married.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I was with I actually went through a divorce.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I was with who's now my wife.
Okay.
And God love her. She was with me during this whole time. Dude. So we filed bankruptcy, which was tough.
I'm sure, ego wise,
for sure. But I had a good attorney. During that transition, I got a job. I went back to corporate America selling dental implants.
Which you probably never thought would happen.
Never thought I would do it.
I'm never working for anybody again.
Yeah. It's like went and got a paycheck job at selling dental implants.
Yeah.
And it was humbling. But one thing I did was I got a good attorney.
Okay.
Like when I filed, it was like $15,000 to file bankruptcy. And I remember him sitting down because I'm like, I'm a loser. He's like, dude, this is your one. get out of jail free card.
Really?
He's like, so
not ending. It's like you can
rebuild. Yeah. And I was still pretty young. I'm still in my 20s at this point.
Right.
He's like, this is it. Don't do it again. And went up in front of the. As a matter of fact, it was a very interesting experience when I went to the court to file. When you actually file.
Right.
I was coming from my corporate job. I had a suit and tie on.
Mm-hmm.
So the judge was talking to me like I was one of the attorneys.
Oh, seriously?
Like most of the other people. But the bankruptcy is very interesting. Just like anything else, they all know each other. Like my attorney knew the judge. Like we had to wait for a certain time to get a certain judge because he wanted everything wiped out. Right.
Wow, okay.
So when we walked in, it was like, hey, Johnny, how's your dad doing? Like the judge knew my attorney. Like, this is good.
Yeah. Right. I picked one.
Yeah, exactly. So the judge gave me a little tongue lashing. He's like, so I remember walking out and just feeling like, done. All the properties were gone, just like that.
Everything's gone.
Everything's gone. Yeah.
How do you start from that point? Like you've been up here, you go all the way down.
All the way down.
Ego's like shattered.
Yeah. So
what do you do? How'd you build yourself back up?
Great question. I had good support, and you just have to swallow your pride and take that humble pill. I bought. My parents bought for me a 2-family in the hood.
Okay.
And that's where I just kind of started to rebuild.
Did you live in it while you
I lived on one side. No. Yeah. And then, so I was rent free.
Okay. Yeah.
And then at that point, just decided to, all right, if I'm going to do this. So at that point I was still in the corporate America gig. And I did that for about 6 years.
Okay.
And then I started traveling to Indianapolis. So that was really tough because I was in Indianapolis from Monday through Thursday. I had an apartment there. It wasn't a bad gig.
Okay.
They paid for my car, but I was away from home.
Yeah.
And that's Barry Russell. And Brian met Barry Russell.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And he was doing the corporate thing too. And then he met Barry, decided he was going to go back into real estate full time. He's like, dude, I got these. Because I had at that point I was making $100,000 a year, but I was miserable.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's like, I have a bunch of short sales. Let's jump back into this. And ironically, my wife was turning 40.
Okay. Yeah.
Right when all this was happening. For her 40th birthday, I decided to book a cruise.
Okay.
So we went, it was a Caribbean cruise, and I asked all of our friends, the only people that could go are her parents. Her dad is a Vietnam veteran, right? So we get on this cruise, and it's an LGBT convention, right? Which, dude, I have 100% okay with.
Yeah,
some of my favorite people in the world, actually. They're harmless, they're fine.
Of course, yeah.
So, being the worst Spanish guy ever, the first day out there, I got smoked. I was burnt as shit. Oh, boy. So, day 2, I'm sitting at the bar, me and these, bunch of gay guys, and that's my wife over there at the pool.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and the guy right next to me, he's like, "Hey, you can get on the drink package. You can get doubles." I'm like, "Great to know." Okay. So we start talking. What do you do? He's like, "I'm in real estate." I go, "You are?" I'm in real estate.
Okay.
He said what? We started talking about volume, and he's like, "Well, I think my company this year will do 1.2 billion."
Whoa.
I go, with a B?
Big number.
Yeah. He's like, with a B. I'm like, okay. So started telling me a little bit more. And he's like, but the brokerage doesn't make any money. He's like, my money's in the ancillaries. I'm like, that's interesting. So he kind of started telling me a little bit more. Right. So I remember coming back. And it was about a week, and I opened up my drawer, and Brian and I had been talking like, dude, we need a change. We need to revamp things.
When was this? What year were we on
so this was, 10 years ago. At least, yes.
So 14-ish?
Yes, about right. 14, 15.
Yeah, okay. So you came out of the worst part of the market.
Came out of the worst part, all that. Kind of growing, steadily growing back up. So Kevin's card opened. I opened up the drawer. Kevin's card falls out. So you know what? I'm going to call him. So I call up Kevin. I'm like, see if he remembers me. And everybody talks a big game on vacation. Yeah, right. Yeah, so I was like, hey, man, you remember me from St. Louis? He's like, yeah, I remember you. I was like, can Brian and I come out, my business partner? I just want to pick your brain.
Love
He's
that.
like, dude, absolutely. He's like, as a matter of fact, I live at the Ritz-Carlton. I'll have a driver pick you up. I'm like, okay, this is a good sign.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was an open book. Like,
Isn't
we went
amazing?
out there.
People at that level, I have found the same thing, that they want to share.
They want to help.
Yes, they want to mentor.
Yes.
As a young man, I found that out. I found a guy who owned a company, HC Brill Company. It was the largest confectionery company in the world. And I met him at an open mic in Atlanta, right? Just playing music together. He invites me to his house. It's this beautiful mansion, right? And all he wants to do is share and help. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's because it probably happened to them at one point in their life. And I hope at some point I'll be able to do that for somebody.
I'm sure you already are.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, that's what God gave us. Whatever talents we have is to share. So,
amen.
So
you go out there,
we go out there, meet with him, open book. We had lunch. He's like, anything you guys need, I'm here for anything. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what we're doing. So Brian and I went and we had dinner plans for Kevin. I was like, I'll take you guys to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Dude, how nice, you know? So like Brian and I are working on, I'm like, dude, why are we reinventing the wheel? Let's just open a Palmer House in St. Louis. So we went up to Kevin's condo. We were having a glass of wine. I'm like,
who's the owner of Palmer?
The owner of Palmer House.
Oh my gosh, cool.
Kevin Palmer.
All right.
So I was like, you want to just open up a Palmer House in St. Louis? He's like, dude, that sounds great. Boom. Shook hands, and that's how Palmer House was born, which is great, right? So literally it's a handshake.
Okay.
So every year we had it.
Was it a franchise?
It was kind of a franchise. We just kind of worked out in numbers like, hey, you'll get a percentage on, it's transaction based. So we'll charge $500. We'll push Palmer House $150. Depends on the price point, right? So it works. We're like, cool. Right. He's like, I'll send you the signs. We'll take care of all that. You're good.
And you don't have to
all the back end paperwork. Take care of accounting, all this. This is fucking great. Thank you for peanuts, right? Yeah. So,
well, you avoided the biggest struggle, I think, that especially like in the brokerage business, like trying to develop your own and business in general.
The system, the website, everything,
the branding,
all of that
takes so much time.
So much time and money.
We went down that rabbit hole, right? Like we spent a couple of years trying to do that, and I was like, we can't
do it on your own. Yeah, it just made it took all that out. So it was beautiful. So that's exact. So we were Palmer House Properties up and running, and every year we'd have a reward ceremony. And a lot of times St. Louis agents were like top producer because we're producing. Yeah. And he'd always have a big announcement. So fast forward 4 years into it, we go out to Atlanta and we're all like, just kind of had a weird feel. And he's like, there's a big announcement. And it was usually another title partner. Well, the big announcement is HomeSmart bought us.
Oh. Okay.
So we are now owned by HomeSmart.
Okay.
So we're like, okay. So of course there was a HomeSmart person at every table strategically placed. It was ugly.
Oh, wow.
So, so HomeSmart cornered Brian and I.
Like with you knowing it, or were they like undercover?
They were undercover.
Oh, so they're listening to who's motherfucking them, right?
Yes. Yes.
So sneaky.
It was fucked up. So,
I mean, I do the same thing.
It is what it is. Like, I have no grudges for it, Right. So they cornered Brian and said, hey, we need guys to come to Arizona. Okay. So they fly Brian and I out to Arizona. We sit in their facilities are nice. And dude, within 5 minutes, they fucking pissed us off. All right. So we own you. We bought you. Yeah. Like, you might have bought us. You don't own us. You don't own anything.
Sure.
So we kind of told them what they wanted to hear. And on the plane, Brian and I were like, no fucking way. This is corporate. I was like, so if I want to take a vacation, you need to let us know. And you're going to be taking call. I'm like,
what?
No way. Yeah, and we're going to put you on a salary. I'm like, what? No.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
how could I don't understand? Like so it wasn't a true franchise.
It was that handshake. We had nothing in writing, so we got zero.
Wow.
We got $0. Yeah. Yeah. Again, we no hard feelings at all.
Yeah, sure.
So it technically it was we were the broker. We called it a franchise, but it wasn't really a franchise. Okay. Kevin still owned it. We just ran it. Even HomeSmart was like, well, this is interesting. Huh. And then they're like, well, we'll let you keep your strategic partnerships. I'm like, well, that's fucking nice of you. We developed those. Thank you for letting us keep those. So
Oh, man.
We called an attorney. Dude, it's School of Hard Knocks. Again, everything's School of Hard Knocks. So we called this attorney. We're like, dude, we built the Palmer House Properties name here in St. Louis. We want to keep it. It's like, well, you can't. So we're like, what about Palmer House Realty? He's like, I think that's good. You guys can do that. So,
oh, really? Okay.
So we called Jeff City and we said, hey, we're going to come down. We're switching company names, or we're starting a new brokerage. We're going to call it Palmer House Realty. They're like, that's going to take days. So we're like, okay, we'll spend days. So on the way there, Brian and I are like, dude, let's just pick up some donuts and some orange juice for everybody in Jeff City.
No,
right?
Brilliant. Yes.
We walked in with donuts and orange juice and all the licenses.
Yeah.
And we became Palmer House Realty right then and there. Just switched everything. And dude, it happened in 3 hours. Yeah. And they said it would take days, 3 hours, right?
They always had.
So on the way back, we called HomeSmart and said, hey, you no longer have a brokerage in St. Louis. They're like, what are you? They're pissed off. You know, we're Palmer House Realty now. Yeah. So we're running Palmer House Realty for 20 days and we get a letter, a cease and desist.
Sure you do.
So we call the attorney and it's from a pretty high, HomeSmart's a big company.
Yeah, they are.
With big pockets. Sure. So it's a pretty high leverage attorney office. I don't remember which one it was. Okay. And so we're like, now what? He's like, well, it's going to probably cost you a couple $100,000 to fight this. I'm like, oh. For the name, man, like really? And so
and who cares about a name?
That's right. So we got off the phone and go, I'm not doing this. It's stupid. So we, Brian, Spencer, myself, locked ourselves in a room and came up with Elevate Realty. Dude, so we just switched, ordered all new signs again, all new branding. And
did you lose any agents in that process?
We
that's
didn't.
Always like agents hate that.
No, like just because we like kind of kept everything on the back end. Like they hated the whole HomeSmart play anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So we just kind of were honest with them. Like, hey, this didn't work. Didn't work quite as we thought it would. Sure. Sorry, but we're just honest. Like, you guys do business as normal. Yeah. We'll take care of all your signs. We'll take care of everything that's in the ground. We'll have somebody go out and replace them. You guys just continue to run your business. Okay. We'll take care of the back end. Don't worry about it.
You didn't lose any agents.
So they were cool with it.
They're there for you anyway. Yeah. As long as you take care of them.
And we're there for them, So it's like, run business, we'll take care of this. Or the name is, they're buying you. They're not buying the brokerage. Sure. It doesn't matter.
30 years ago, maybe the brokerage mattered.
Yes. Anymore, it doesn't. Yeah. No, it's.
Are you there for them? Do you have the tools and resources for them? That's all they care about.
Yeah.
And that's all their clients care about, right?
Yeah. So that was a long version of how Elevate really and how I got into the real estate.
Dude, that's such a great origin story.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Well, one of my other questions was challenges, but we've already talked about like some serious challenges.
Yeah, a lot of fun challenges. But there's never like I don't look at a challenge to me is it's almost like a fun thing.
Okay.
At the time, it might be a little bit stressful. Yeah. But I like a challenge. Tell me no, I can't do something, and I'm going to figure out a way to say. And I've always been that way since I was a kid.
Okay. So that's not something new that you developed. Is that a developed behavior and mindset? Is that something somebody who doesn't have that?
I think everybody can have it. I think you just have to. It's all here, Like it's all about how do I channel this, right? Do I get pissed off and angry, or do I look at it like, okay, this is exciting
perspective?
Because I'm going to learn, like sometimes we all learn the hard way. I'm the king of that ever since I was a kid. It's a School of Hard Knocks, but it's like there's no loss. It's a learn. There's no such thing as losing. Sure. As long as you don't do it again and again, So that's
what do you? So you've come a long way. So Elevate now has. 70 agents ish.
We're around that. Okay. Yeah. We'll do. I think we'll hit 200 million in revenue this year. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We have just good agents.
What are some of the challenges that you're working through now that you've gotten kind of to that next level? Where are you trying to get, and what's in your way? What obstacles do you need to blast through to get to where you want to go?
I think, and you probably experienced it, maybe you don't, just the whole onboarding process is tough. Getting people okay, you're changing brokerages. So what next, right?
Yeah.
And getting them through all those steps because it's kind of a pain in the ass, especially here in Missouri, because
you have to get the other broker's signature.
So stupid. And pick up your license and send it to Jeff City. Dude, we're not in 1950s. This should be simple. We shouldn't even have hard licenses that are...
Dude, I'll tell you my conspiracy theory on that is that the big brokerages, they did it on purpose because they don't want people leaving. They want it to be difficult.
That's a good,
Right? So they make it as hard as possible. Oh, you need to come and have a conversation with me.
Right.
I have to physically give you your license.
That's right.
It's bullshit,
it's
right?
bullshit, yeah. And by the way, your listings are my listings.
Yeah.
We don't work that way.
We don't either.
Like, dude, if you don't want to be here,
right,
I'll do everything I can for you if you can be successful somewhere else.
Because you give a shit about them, right?
Yeah,
you want them to be successful.
Yes,
if you're not a good fit, then go somewhere. Every brokerage has something a little different. Right?
You got it. And it's amazing how many times they'll leave and then circle back around.
Sure.
Like we've had 3 leave and come back within the last year.
Yeah.
Like the grass is always greener on the other side until you get to the other side.
Right,
you know, like
yes.
So that's probably our biggest hurdle is just, I think with most is the whole process of, and then going through our paperwork and getting the electronic signatures on the paperwork, and then get them in the system and get them changed into Maris and what board are you with, right? Like there's so many different boards. Are you with St. Charles? Are you with this one? Are you with
how many are you a member of?
All of them now.
Really?
Yeah. Like
no, we are too.
You have to be.
I'm about to drop the Lake one though, because we only have one agent who wants it, and
it's not super expensive, but it's a headache.
It is.
It's well, here's another bill, or
right.
Okay. Like again, like as you know, like brokerages, it's hard to make money, and as a broker, they think we got all the money. It's
right.
No, I'm still in production. I make my money on my flips. Yeah, and on my rentals,
I think you have to.
You have to.
Like you said, the brokerage, no matter how much you scale up, that's what we're finding too. Is like no matter how many agents you grow to, the brokerage still is not going to be a huge money generator. No. So you've got to be doing some personal production. So we're doing a lot more than the average top agent, right? Because you're supporting all your agents too and trying to help them find success. You're training them, you're mentoring them.
That's right.
You're finding lead gen for them, right? Trying to feed them leads so they can be successful. And you've got all the damn paperwork and all that stuff to work out, right?
That's painful.
We're heroes, dude.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Put my cape on.
Yeah, right.
It's still fun, and I still enjoy it. And I actually, to be honest with you, I don't love the retail. I'll still take friends and family referrals. Sure. I'll still take that. On the retail side, it's no longer my passion. My passion is more like watching other agents be able to grow from that, the ones that are passionate about it. But my passion is still, I love flipping properties.
Yes. Okay.
And I love buying properties. That is to me is that's my rush is getting that deal. And then I love designing properties, which is still super fun to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And you've been doing that for a long time.
A little bit. Yeah. My first one I bought was at the courthouse, which was a learning experience of itself. Yeah.
Did it work out?
I made $1,000 on it.
Then it worked out.
It worked out. Learned a ton. Met my contractor. He's a good buddy now. He's a friend. He's become a friend, but he hated me. Our first deal, because I watched, HDTV. I'm a blue tape.
Oh yeah.
Where he walked in, he's like, "What the fuck?" Like, bro, this is not how this is going to go down.
Right.
So we've come a long way. Yeah. And actually, what I started to do with him is making him a partner on all of our flips. So he gets 50%. So we
cool.
Most of the time I'll buy it, and then he'll handle the rental cost.
Yeah.
And then I'll help him design it, and it works out perfectly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
But give him some skin in the game, right?
Well, and that's one of the biggest challenges in that industry, in that business, is keeping good contractors on board, right? You've got to incentivize them because they're floating around. They're going to find the best opportunity.
You got it. Yeah.
And if they're just working by the hour, you got to be paying them a lot per hour to make it work.
They can make 60, 70 grand on a house in 90 days.
Totally.
They're going to show up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so tell me the 3 biggest things that you see coming down the pike in real estate. Like the next 1 to 5 years, what's going to happen? Where's your crystal ball?
Commissions are going to get squeased.
Yeah,
hands down. I mean, I say it all the time, and it pisses a lot of agents off. But realtors they're a little bit overpaid, and I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. But when I started I remember watching my grandmother in the business. Right, we're going back to I'm gonna show my age, 40 years.
Yeah.
And I really remember like going to the office with her,
Uh-huh.
and I remember people looking at the books. You remember?
Yes.
MLS books,
Oh,
like
and they have the keys literally in the office.
And then have to go get the key to the house.
Right.
And then that client would get in the car with grandma and me, and sometimes in the backseat because my parents, and she'd drive around and show them houses.
Yeah.
And then when they decided that house, she would go back, and I remember typing on a typewriter.
Yes.
A contract, and then driving that contract to the next brokerage office for them to submit it, for them to drive it to their sellers.
Right.
Totally different world.
What happens now?
Now it's a click of a button, right? And everything is digital. So look, we earn our money. I'm not saying that, but I think the 6% commissions, they're going to go away, especially now with this new lawsuit. I think we're going to have a lot of these smaller brokerages are people getting into it and saying, hey, seller, I'm going to sell your house for 2%. And you don't have to pay a commission.
Sure.
They're going to realize real quickly that model's not going to work. So I think it will come and go.
They're not going to be serving their clients well.
There's no way, and then people will want dual agency. And I think we're just going to see but ultimately I think our commissions are going to get squeezed.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to work a whole lot harder to make as much money as you're making right now.
You see agents leaving the business?
I think a lot of agents are going to leave the business because of that. And there's a lot of older agents in the business still, right? And at this point, they're like, screw it, I'm done. So
why make this adjustment?
Yeah, I don't want to pivot. I've pivoted enough since the last 30 years.
And that's a great opportunity to pick up some referral business, right?
For sure. I think guys like us are going to pick up market share. I think there's these big offices. It's going to be really, really hard to have the overhead that you have, and there's certain brokerages that are paying agents to come over. Not sustainable. It's going to burn them. I think
I always wonder about that. Right? Like, there's a big one that came to town a few years ago. We won't name names, but they were writing 6-figure checks to agents, and they're signing them up for a 3-year deal. But what happens at the end of that 3 years? Right? Like,
a lot of them leave.
The agent's going to be like, hey, where's my money to stay, right?
Yeah.
They're going to expect another check. They can't afford that.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's going to be interesting. So I think guys like us that have, we're small enough but big enough, like that really have the best interest for our agents. Because they? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I can't speak. I know we do. I know I know you well enough that I know you do. So I think we're going to see a lot of the big companies go away. I think we might even see more like transaction brokerages. I think unless something drastically happens, the government is just squeezing people out of the first-time home buyers. That's all going away. I don't know if the stat's true, but they said 40% of all homes last year went to corporate buyers, which is unbelievable.
Whoa, that's a huge
number. Yeah. But if you think about it, like, look at all these apartments. Everywhere you turn, there's apartments coming up, which is crazy. So I think,
and they're buying up the single family.
Single family. Yeah.
They're renting them out, or they're just holding them. There's one right by our house, in a beautiful subdivision, right? Beautiful. Yeah. It's a $500,000 house. And it's a fixer-upper, right? So fixed up, it's at least $750,000, and it's been vacant for like a year.
Isn't that amazing?
It's got to be a corporate owner that's just sitting on it.
Yeah, they can. It happens in like big cities, New York. A lot of those foreign buyers come in and will buy and just sit on it for and so my whole thing is, what took so long? Like, why did it take so long for corporate America to figure this out? If you think about it, way safer than the stock market. It's it's predictable. It might go back down. It's always going to go back up. And you always have it. That's the cool thing. It goes, but unless you sell it, unlike a stock, if it goes to zero, you're fucked.
Right.
A house, it could go down, but you still have it. You still have that asset, right?
Yes.
So I think unfortunately, our middle class is going to really continue to get squeezed. We have to have a shift in administration, or I'm afraid to see what's really going to happen in the next year from now.
You are not alone, man. There are a lot of people out there thinking the same thing.
It's scary. And people who are delusional to, like, everything that's okay. Shit is not okay.
No.
If you look at, and I don't want to get political here, but I'm just being real, because I saw it, like Manhattan. We were in Manhattan. Like, the immigrants that are there, dude, they're not children and women. They're military age men.
Sure.
And this whole like letting them vote in their head and like vote for Biden when you come over, like the shit that's going on is just so corrupt. So we have to wake up, or else there's going to be no more home ownership. And I tell my daughter graduates this year from Mizzou, and I think in her lifetime there will be no homes to buy.
Wow.
I really do. Huh. Yeah, because they're not building them fast enough.
No, they're not. And our population continues to grow.
Yeah, there's only so much land, right? So it just, if you look at it, I think that's a reality of it. So
and the regulations, they make it so that small builders, I mean, who wants to be a small builder these days, right? No. Like you can't make money at it anymore.
I built one house last year and I'll never do it again.
Really?
Never again.
Oh,
built it to sell it? No, you can't. Yeah. It's not way easier to buy a shell and redo it, like buy an existing house. Yeah, got it completely.
Yes,
than going and building new. Yes. Way easier. Way easier.
Well, let me tell you, it sounds like we can have a whole nother couple shows, and we could talk about politics.
Oh, we should. Yeah, we need to. Yeah,
because I'm already thinking of stuff from my days as a state rep. I'm like, oh man, I got some stuff to share.
That's cool. You did that.
Oh, thanks,
I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. It was eye opening.
I'm sure
it was eye opening, and all the stuff that you're afraid of. Like I saw it on the micro level with the state, right? And it's only 1,000 times worse at the federal level.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where I'm not sure that there's any way to fix it. Like it's gotten so mired, and the bureaucracy is so big, and the elected officials have so little power now. It's not a democracy when the bureaucracy is ignoring the elected officials, and the elected officials can't do the will of the people.
No, it's no longer we the people. It's them. It's them, the people. And like you have like this last bill, like I was at the gym angry when I saw we're giving another $95 billion away. Like
to who? To where? To what is it? What's happening?
It goes there and comes back. Like look at the people at the house. Like look at the lifestyles they live. Like if you believe nothing else, just go and look at their lifestyle. What's the average salary at somebody that's in the Senate?
Oh, in the Senate, I think they make $170,000 now, somewhere around there.
So how are they living in $3 million, $4 million homes?
Great question. How does their net worth go from like
Nancy Pelosi, right? Shit doesn't make sense.
She's got a lot of luck over here. Time in that market,
she's amazing. Yeah, she is the world's best predictor at what the markets can do. Shit doesn't make sense. We just have to open our eyes, Andy Frisella talks about it. Like we are giving 60%. It's not 30, it's 60. And I think it's really more like 70% of what we make to the government. That's never how it was supposed to be, ever.
It was a revolt and a revolution because of a T-tax, right? I mean, think of everything that's taxed now. Like they would lose their minds if they saw where we were. They'd probably compare it to the monarchy, right? Yeah. They'd be like, you're paying all of this for, and what are you getting for it? What representation do you have?
None.
What say do you have and where those dollars are going?
Zero,
not right? One. Even at the state level and almost at the local level too, because I was on the city council, right? To a certain degree, like there's that going on at the local level too.
Yep.
You get taxes that are passed, like in Chesterfield, and I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing, but the fact is that they passed a parks tax years and years ago, sales tax, right? And that tax now will be there forever. And if I, as a resident now, wanted to get rid of that tax, it is impossible. Yeah. It would be impossible to try and go and get that pulled away, right? Once you get those new taxes in place, they do not ever go away. And we just keep stacking them and stacking them and stacking them.
That's right. They don't take them back. They don't never lower it.
No.
We had Airbnbs in the city, and this was really interesting. And I 100% agree they need to put some guidelines and stipulations, right? So last year we get our tax bill.
Okay.
They decided overnight to tax us as commercial property.
Oh boy.
So like one property went from $6,500 to $15,000 in taxes on a $400,000 house.
Oh.
Like, how do you do that? How is that legal? It's not. You can't just come in overnight, and say, oh, we're taxing you as commercial. But it's not just commercial, because if you look at a commercial building that down the road that's $1 million plus, their taxes aren't as high as our $400,000 house. So what this is how stupid the government is, because what they started doing is your taxes, you stay, first when they come up, then it says that there's no tax. Then it started, well, we're going to tax you, is you're going to pay, $200 a night, like a hotel tax, right? So they're taxing you when you stay, which was fine. Like a lot of times, literally, if you have a busy Airbnb, you take, if it's renting out for 20 nights in the month, a lot of times they're literally making an extra, probably $1,500, $2,000 a month.
Yes.
On that, from the turnaround, which is amazing. So now by forcing that tax, I sold my building. So now they're losing so much more tax revenue that was coming in. Because they decided to tax this commercial. I'm like, you guys are idiots. You should have been kissing our ass for bringing you more tax dollars every month, opposed to making it more difficult.
Oh, I know.
We
could go on forever.
So it's just.
I think we'll pause here, and we're going to do another session though, because this
has
been so much fun.
We're kind of all over the place. Holy crap! Yes, dude. All over the place.
Kyle Fernandez, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
I appreciate it.